All right, well, welcome to our team call tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and most of all to Erin Young, who is one of my very first team members, and she joined back in February of 2012 and is now a 10-star qualifying coach. So I'm super excited to have her share with us tonight on the team call about her business, about her life, and about her success and the things that it took for her to get there. So thank you so much. It's so exciting to have your energy
I
on
know.
the call.
It's fun. I'm glad you asked me. Yeah.
Yay. And super fun jacket. Yeah, we love that.
Except it's covered up.
I know. We just have to walk around with our neck like this, all the time, right?
Yeah.
So very fun. Okay, well, I'm going to dig right in so that we can be respectful of your time. And first, I wanted to just ask you some background questions, like essentially the things that I ask in some of my Getting Started Right calls. So, like,
Okay.
what drew you to Beachbody?
Mm-hmm. Well, you asked me maybe 2 or 3 times to a challenge group, and I said no because I thought I could do it on my own. So I was drawn to Beachbody because you were posting consistently on social media your journey, and you were sharing results. And I was at a point in time where nothing was working for me, and I was a mom too. I have 2 children. And I think Tyler was 2 and Avery, my daughter, was 8 months old. And I was a lost mom. And I was working full time. I had just gone back to work after maternity leave. I was not happy about going back to work or just giving so much to everyone else that I wasn't giving to myself. So you attracted me to Beachbody, Traci, your story and your journey. And so you're like, really? And that's all it was. I knew nothing of Beachbody other than how you were portraying it.
Good deal. So then once you finished the challenge group, you saw good results, and then what made it click that maybe you want to do more than this, more than being a participant?
I felt so good. I mean, my whole coaching journey has just been to share with other people, always. And my husband was not excited about the cost of Shakeology. And that was a battle for a long time. I mean, like a year or more. I mean, justifying that cost. And so the idea of being able to cover the cost of Shakeology was attractive. But also more so than that, at the bottom of my heart was, I just want someone else to feel this way. Because for 10 years, I had been trying to lose the same 10 pounds, and it finally happened. And I knew it was because of support and accountability. I knew it was because of a program that actually worked. And I knew it was because of Shakeology. And so I learned so much in our challenge group about myself and what I was capable of. And I knew that I could inspire that in other people. So my inspiration was to pay it forward. Just so like one person. My first challenge group had 3 people in it. That's all. And it was amazing. Like, I will never forget leading my first challenge group. And I did it by myself. I didn't have to co-lead it or anything like that. And I was really excited. I just trusted myself, and I didn't have to have a guide to tell me what to post. It was just all real and raw. And I was on the journey too. I was still on the journey, and I just invited other people to join me. And so, but at the same point, it was kind of nice if I would have gotten my Shakeology covered. So those 2 things started me to want to work this business, but I still didn't see it like I was working the business.
Right.
I just saw it as, I'm just paying it forward. I never saw it as me working the business.
I think it's funny how that you mentioned, you weren't co-leading. There wasn't like this big training program that we went through.
Nothing.
We didn't know much, and we didn't have much guidance, and we had to make our own way. Yep. So that, I just think it's important to know that people, I feel like, have it so good now. But in some ways, we were fortunate that we just had to do it. We had to make it work. And so you led your first challenge group shortly after you were a participant.
Mm-hmm.
And then
2 or 3 months later, I think it took me like 3 months to get through Insanity instead of 2.
Yeah. Well, and I think back then we were also doing longer challenge groups, period, versus like the traditional 21 or 30 day ones as well. So So then did you have, or do you now, either one, do a free group and then pull from the free group to a challenge group, or do you do both at the same time, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, I have I think that as coaches, you have to find your sweet spot. And your sweet spot is where you find what works and you rinse and repeat. You don't keep reinventing the wheel and trying new things. And what has worked for me, my sweet spot is I have a system for my month. And so my month begins with a free group, and that leads to a challenge group. And not everyone from the free group goes to the challenge group. That my free group is my way of giving to other people without expecting anything in return. When I lead a free group, I cannot go into it thinking these people are going to become challengers. It's me just giving and making sure that nothing gets icky. It's just giving. And so free group, challenge group. So this is my month. So I started free group, challenge group, open house or sneak peek, business opportunity, repeat. And I mean, I think that's what a lot of coaches have figured out, but it's the sweet spot. It's what works. My free groups change. Like, it's never the same thing. Like, it might be for a couple months in a row. I'm just listening and paying attention to what people need, but they don't know that they need it. So, like, for example, right now, my free group is 5 days of eating in. Like, no, we're just going to eat in for 5 days. We're not going to go out to eat for 5 days, because I realized in a month like July, our month was crazy. We were on vacation and then at Summit and like all kinds of stuff. Like, we ate out so much and I felt like crap at the end of the month. So I was like, okay, August, no, we're not eating out. And I was like, well, then other people are doing the same thing. So I just take what's genuinely in my heart and a struggle that I have that I think that other people need. They just don't know it. And that's how I come up with those free groups. But that's what I do.
Good deal. Mm-hmm. Okay. So then there are tons and tons, maybe not tons and tons, but there are tons of coaches currently on Team BeneFIT that are working full time. They know they want to make a go of this more than just part-time, more than just a hobby, but they're struggling with figuring out when to fit it in and all the balance issues that come with that. What have you done? Tell us a little bit about your job and maybe even what roles, hats you wear that have impacted pulling on your time.
Right. Well, I was a high school English teacher. I have trouble saying was, because that was me. That was my identity for 14 years. And when I started coaching, I was, teaching, and I never had any intention of retiring from teaching when I started coaching. Like, I never even knew that was possible. So I'm a teacher, or I was a teacher, married to my husband for almost 10 years, 2 kids. Right now they're 4 and 5. And are your children? Oh, I thought maybe you had a kid.
It's just as bad as the kids.
We can't let the kids get out.
A recording, like a video. Oh, okay, thanks. Okay.
So awesome. I have 2 kids, 4 and 5. And my teaching income was necessary to pay the family bills. I mean, like, my husband, and we're a double income family, and we have to be, because we have a house with a mortgage and cars and da-da-da-da. Like, it wasn't like it was just an option for me to quit my job. It was not an option whatsoever. And so, I, just kind of going back to that question, I turned my business from a hobby to a business when I let myself have dreams, that I let my dreams come to the surface. There was a point where, when you become a mom, there's a point where everything changes, the day those babies are born, and your life becomes, revolves around them and doing what's best for them. And when 2 years ago, when the kids in our neighborhood started school for the first day of school, the district I taught in did not start school. So we were able to see the first day of school hoopla going on in our neighborhood. And the kids were getting on the school bus, and our kids wanted to go watch the big yellow bus go by, And so we were out there watching our neighbors put their kids on the school bus. And I realized, and I had that moment, I'm not going to get to do that, because my school day starts at 7:25 in the morning, and this bus is coming at 8:45. and it clicked. I made that connection. I'm not going to get to be the mom that does this. And then I thought, and Tyler's gonna have to go to before school care, and someone else is gonna make his breakfast. Like, this is not cool with me. And so that's when my why grew, because my why was get my Shakeology covered. Let's have some extra spending money for clothes or for a vacation. If, I can help with airfare, it was that little stuff. But then I had a why that made me cry. Okay. I mean, seriously, like it made me cry many times. And that's when the dream grew, but I never shared it out loud. It was there, but I never gave myself permission to have it because I had expectations that others had put on me. I am a teacher. I have a degree. I went to college. My parents paid for me to go to college to get a teaching degree. I went to Butler and got a master's degree in school counseling. I'm supposed to be a teacher and a counselor, and I'm supposed to retire from teaching. I met my husband teaching at the same school. Our relationship grew as teachers. We had expectations. Our classrooms were right across the hall from each other. Like, seriously, I was like married to the school, and so heaven forbid me not want to do that anymore. Okay. And I never thought, oh, I'll never be a teacher, because I had settled for mediocrity. I had settled for everyone else's expectations for me and thought that was cool. And, I grew up with parents that were someday people, like I wanted dance lessons and music lessons and to go to Disney World and things like that. Someday. And I didn't want to be someday, because I was living a someday life, because David and I were both teachers. We were someday people because we just made enough. We were fine. We were comfortable. We could do what we needed to do, but there was nothing else. There was no chance of anything else. And there was no chance in hell I was going to be able to just quit my job. Like, that was not an option because we had bills. And so that day at the bus stop changed it all. And that's when the dream started, but then the mindset had to shift. And that's the big change of what you have to do is full-time working full-time and creating a business. You have to shift your mindset and say, I deserve this dream. And it's okay. It's okay for me to want more, because seriously, what fun is it in our life if we just keep going? And not grow? That's not fun. That's boring, and it becomes stagnant, and we're not teaching our children a thing about dreaming and about what their potential is if we're not constantly reaching for our potential. And so, it's just this point where you say, it's okay. And so there's this very ugly conversation I'll never forget with my husband in our garage, where I said, and he's mad at me because I'm working, I'm on Facebook, and he doesn't get it. He just sees that I'm not spending time with him. And I go out in the garage and I'm like, what's up? And he's like, what are you doing? And I just had to cry it out, and this is why I'm doing this. I had to say it out loud to him. And he was like, what? I changed the dreams for my family without including him. And that was unfair. And so I think that when we are working full-time and we're not honest with ourselves and with our support systems about our dream and why we're working this business, number one, we're creating a huge barrier for ourselves and our future and our success, because our spouses want what's best for us and our families, and they're worried about the money and the dollar signs and the whatever. And that's okay. They're allowed to be worried about that. But also at the same point, we have to be honest with them about what we want. And it's okay to share that with them. And so the number one thing you have to do when working full time and wanting to move forward in this business is you have to share your dreams out loud with your support systems. And it's okay if they don't get it. And it's okay if they roll their eyes. But you have to show them that you're serious. You can't just do it sometimes and sometimes make $100 and sometimes make $200 and sometimes make no money. You have to keep going, and you have to share with them what you're making. I really do think that I think it's okay to be like, hey, David, look what we did. This is what's happening. Isn't this awesome? I think you have to do that because you have to show them that you're not just on Facebook and that you're not just taking time away from them. And the second thing that you have to do is in your mind, you have to say that I deserve this dream. Like you have to do that. And it's going to be hard and ugly, and it's not sexy at all, because it means tangibly getting up earlier. Like you have to. Like when else are you going to work your business? My children are early risers. So for me to get up before my house got up was 4 a.m. And that's not it for everybody. But I had to start my morning at 4 a.m. if I wanted to work out, which I had to. You know, I had to, if I wanted to work out, if I wanted to do PD, if I wanted to do any kind of devotion, if I wanted to have any kind of quiet thinking time, I had to get up at 4 a.m. because I had to be in the shower by 5. I mean, that's just 1 hour. You know, I had to be in the shower at 5 so I could be ready. Then there's saying no to all the things that were part of your old life, because this is our new life. You have to start to say no to the parts of your old life that are keeping you from moving forward. You have to do that, and you have to be very convicted in that. And those things are watching TV and reading books like that don't matter. It's okay to read a vacay book, but I mean, seriously, I kind of feel guilty. I mean, I have not read what are those horrible books that are now movies that are all about like the sex books. Like I've not read any of those. Okay. Like every woman was talking about, who is that Gray or so, I don't know. And, you know, every woman's talking about that. I'm like, well, I'm reading John Maxwell, or I'm reading this Oprah Winfrey book, or I'm listening to this, you know, like I have no idea what they're talking about. I don't watch movies other than Disney movies because that's what my kids want to watch. You know, I mean, like seriously, I don't do those things. I don't watch The Bachelor. I don't even watch Ninja Warrior, whatever it is, ninja stuff. Like I don't do that because it doesn't move me forward. If I'm going to watch something on TV, it's like something that my husband wants to watch because he feels like I'm spending quality time with him watching Bar Rescue, you know, or something like that's going to help me, lift me up, you know, and there's not much of that on TV. And so you have to say no. Like it's okay to not bake cupcakes for events. It's okay to not take a homemade something to the family kitchen, you know, because probably there's no veggies and hummus anyway. So you might as well just go to Costco and get veggies and hummus. And so you got to say no to those things so that you can say yes to your future. Mm-hmm. And those little things will change your life. And so you have to have your support system, and you have to have, you know, say no to the old things in your life and say yes to the new things in your life. And you have to be ready to make sacrifices big time with your time. You know, 1 year ago, I was at Summit as a 1-star. A lot has changed in a year. And it's all because I decided that I deserved it. And I saw success. I visualized success. I owned the success that wasn't even there. And I believed in myself. And, you know, so it involves crying. It involves fights. It involved saying lots of no's. And it involved me not hanging out with teachers in the faculty workroom or lunchroom because they're just negative anyway. So that lunchtime was way better spent of me focusing on myself and my business. You know, it involved saying, sorry, honey, I can't sit on the couch with you every night and watch TV. I'm going to do this instead, but every Thursday night's yours. You know, like you just have to say things out loud like that. And you have to overly communicate what you're doing with your spouse or your support system because they don't get it at first. They don't get it at first. It wasn't until we went to leadership and David went to leadership that he saw the big picture. And so I don't know. That's a long list of things and stories and whatever. But I think at the end of that is that you have to be prepared to do hard work in uncomfortable times. Do hard work when it's hard. Do hard work when you don't want to, when you're tired, when somebody may not be supporting it. Do the hard work that matters when it's hard. You know?
I know that we said already that you did leave your full-time job.
I did. I left my full-time. I've been working this business full-time for 3 weeks, officially.
3 years.
3 weeks.
I see what you mean. Yeah, okay. I was like,
I've been a full-time Beachbody coach for like 3 or 4 weeks, and that's it. 4 weeks, I think. Yeah. So I left my job officially at the end of the last school year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yeah. So then you mentioned you mentioned doing stuff in the early morning. You mentioned personal development. You mentioned quiet time. Is there a structure to that? I know you and I just recently came upon the Miracle Morning. Have you been doing that without knowing that you've been doing that? Or is there?
I was doing most of that without knowing it because I think I had to. It was my survival. Like, I've noticed that I'm kind of one of those people that if I say I'm going to do something, number one, I always do it. And I figure out a way to do it on my own. And I think that that's kind of how we've done things anyway. So yes, I was doing most of the Miracle Morning. I was not sitting down and writing out my goals each day, or anything like that. But what I was doing was I was getting my mind set the right way. I would get up every morning and say, I get to do a lot of great things today. And I had to do that because I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to send my kids to preschool every day. I didn't want to grade papers. I didn't want to lead a discussion over this book again. I didn't want to do it again. But I had to tell myself, but I knew that a lot of people were counting on me in my business, in my work. I mean, I saw 175 high school kids every day. They were counting on me. And I had to look at that as a privilege. I mean, I worked in a great school district in a place that a lot of people would have called their dream job, And so I had to be okay. I had to say, okay, you get to do a lot of great things today. So I had to wake up and say that, I couldn't push snooze. Okay. Cause number one, you can't set your alarm any earlier than 4 a.m. or that is crazy. Like that just looks ridiculous. Okay. You can't do that. And so I just had to set my alarm and get up. So I wasn't pushing snooze. And I was excited to get up for the most part, and I was working out and I was doing a little PD and I was posting in my groups. I would not leave the house before it not post in my groups. Like I have found, the number one thing of being a great coach is being a great coach of challengers. And so you have to always remember your roots and take care of your challengers first. And that's, I always think that because those challengers, their success and results determines your success and your results of your business and your growth. And so I always posted by 7 a.m. in my challenge groups, and I still do. And that consistency over time is what, people need consistency and they need to know that you're reliable. And so I would do that. And then I would always take like sweaty selfies or video, like right after my workouts, like I was inspired or whatever. And then I would get to school and sit in the parking lot for like 5 minutes and do something with that and post that to social media or post that somewhere or make a graphic to use later. So like every piece of time was being used. And then I would get into school and at school. And then my prep period, I became so efficient with my time at work that I was really good. Like if it was prep, I would do my schoolwork first, even though I didn't want to. And then I would do Beachbody work on my prep period and over my lunch. And then as soon as school was over, I had arranged with my preschool, they knew that I wasn't going to get there till 4:30. So I had an hour after school as well. And that's when I would have calls with coaches. I would make video recordings, of trainings or whatever for my team. And I would do mostly following up with people in my challenge groups that had posted that morning, but I would work, a little bit in the morning, a little pocket of time right there in the middle of the day, and then an hour after school, and then an hour in the night too. I always had to, because at nighttime is when we have our calls and, you'll have masterminds or things like that. So a lot of your time in the night may not be spent necessarily in working your business.
Right. You
might be training or coaching or mentoring. So, realistically speaking, I was at least working 3 hours a day probably on my Beachbody business and working full time.
Now, would you recommend, because maybe there are people who work full time, but they're not teachers, so their hours are a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say somebody gets off at 4:30 or 5. Would you recommend then that they hang out in their car an extra hour or even a half an hour before they go pick up their kids or steal that time?
Yeah, you have to. You have to find your time wherever you can get it.
So now to play devil's advocate, because I know somebody will be thinking it. So, but that's taking away time from my kids.
What? No, they're having fun. Every time I picked up Tyler and Avery, they were on the playground at preschool, and they were like, man, I just started playing on the swings. Like, they didn't care. They were fine. They were mad if I came any earlier because they got in their routine, and they were totally like, if I came sooner than 4:30, they missed their outside playtime. And so they were mad if I came sooner. So it kind of was nice. Like, I knew they were playing outside with their friends. And if we went home, it wouldn't, I don't know, they'd probably fight with each other, So it was kind of nice. So no, it was totally fine because they're in a great preschool. So I felt good about that, and then we would go home and this is huge, unplugged time. I don't come home and work. I do the moment, and right now Tyler gets off the bus at 3:45, and well, first of all, I love that I can pick him up, and I sit in a chair. Like, I go outside at 3:30, knowing the bus is going to come at 3:45. Like, I am so scheduled. With my time. So, and I read. That's when I read. I read in the morning, and then I read again. And so I sit in a chair in the sun, and it's wonderful. Right now it is. I don't know what I'm going to do in the winter. And so, Traci, you can sit outside in the sun all the time. So 3 to 3:45, I'm reading. And then he gets off the bus, and I'm done. I'm done until 8:30 p.m. And then when they're in bed, I don't want my children to think, I don't want to walk around with this in my hands and for them to think that this is important. Honestly, most of the day, my notifications are off all the time. Like, right now, my phone is on silent, and it always is on silent. My mom is so mad because she's like, I'm trying to call you, but why? Like, why do I need my notifications on? Because if I'm sitting down and working my business, I know the activities that have to happen. And if somebody's trying to call me, sorry, I'm working, and the same thing with your children, and when you're working full time, you're like, I have to do this, I have to do that. No, you don't. No, because we're working hard to protect our priority, which is our children, our family, or whatever that is. And so, yeah, we have to have our unplugged time too, because that's what will get in the way and really maybe cause some problems with your support system if they see that you're always plugged in. But if you tell your kids and you tell your spouse, I know that this is a problem and I'm working on it, so my notifications are off and I'm not going to be on until 8:30. Will you help hold me to that? They are going to love that. And your kids are totally going to tell you when you pick up your phone. They will. They'll tell you.
You're right. So then for your, do you do a power hour, or do you do power of 3, or what is your system of focus then for the small amount of time that you were able to work during the full-time years?
Yeah, well, last year I was just doing a power hour, and so my power hour did not include PD, did not include those basics. Like, it just included follow-ups and invites. That's what it included, because I was able to, because our business will not move forward. We get stuck in doing the non-income producing activities, and we get overwhelmed with that, especially when we start having coaches. Right. And you're coaching coaches. And so in the evening, that was my power, a lot of my power hour. And it wasn't always a full hour. It wasn't always able to be. Now I use the power of 3s. And that system of tracking, but I track it in a 5-subject notebook. I'm still, that's a weakness and a struggle is mine, is I'm still searching for the system that works best for me as my team grows. Like, I feel like as our why evolves, my system is evolving, and I'm kind of in a middle ground place trying to figure out what's working for me there. But the power of 3s is my number one recommendation to anyone right now. When you're working full time, are you doing your PD? Are you jabbing and hooking each week, daily? And are you, jab, are you posting? And are you doing your power of 3s? If you're doing that, and that is good, that's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. And you can get all of that done in an hour if you have created your list before you work your power hour.
Good point.
Mm-hmm. You can't sit down without a list.
So somebody will say, oh, I wonder how she does her 5 whatever notebook.
Well, okay. So my 5-subject notebook I think it depends on where you are in your journey or your business, but I have a tab that's for my list, my ongoing list of contacts.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it because I have room to write. Because in Power of Threes, I don't have room to write on that spreadsheet.
Okay.
I need to take notes. And I'm a paper pen person, so I have one that's for my my list, my Mac. I call it the Mac Daddy list. And so that's always evolving and growing and whatever, and I have room to add to that. I have one that's for groups. So like all the groups that I'm managing and keeping track of. So like, you know, I've got all the people in my free group because I'll co-lead a lot of groups. So I have to keep track who's in here with me, and then, okay, are they doing a program in drinking Shakeology? What program is that? Like, I like to have notes, you know, that I can get to real quick. And so I have one on my invites, one on my groups, one on just my coaches. So when I have coach calls and masterminds, that's where I take all my notes on my coaches. I have one just for blue sky time. That's what I call blue sky time,
Mm-hmm.
just for thinking and brainstorming and dreaming and big ideas. And then I have one for, I don't know which number I'm on here. What is this one? My tab just wore off on this one. I don't know. I guess it was sweating on it. Oh, I have one just on my business, like my Erin Young Fitness business. So business related notes for me. So like I said, it'll be like notes for my assistant, my like page, you know, things like that are more business.
When you're trying to move your business forward, and that can be a lot, and sometimes that derails some people.
Yes. Oh, I have one that's just how many have I told you? Did I tell you everything? List.
Groups, coaches, blue sky, and business.
Yeah.
Yep, that's 5.
Okay, that's got it. Yeah.
And I think too, it's a good point to have that the blue sky one. Mine goes, you know, in like little notebooks, but you know, just like these little things. But I struggled with doing that for a long time because I felt guilty for not doing something during that time. You know, like we get so into the mindset that we have to be typing something or talking to somebody that just to be quiet and reflect feels foreign. But if we're not doing that, then we're really hurting ourselves.
Absolutely.
So that's a good one.
During that time, you can say, I want to have a diamond retreat. I want to, you know, I want to do this for my family. I want to, oh, here's a book I want to read. Like you can just write down those things that fill up your head that are important, and you can get them out.
So, yeah. My time always comes out with something good. Something positive always results from that time. So that's a good one. Okay, let's see. You also teach group fitness.
I do. Yeah.
How does that play a role in your business? Or your life in general, whatever?
Yeah. Well, my journey took me to group fitness. First of all, when I started my journey, I was too intimidated to even walk into a group fitness studio. You know, and so my confidence and, you know, physical fitness, all of that brought me to group fitness. And so I teach at the local Y, and right now I teach 2 classes a week. So I teach Insanity and Pio. Soon it'll be 3. But it builds your credibility, in my opinion. I think it builds your credibility as a coach. I do have challengers and coaches that I've met in my classes at the Y. It's not like I don't think you don't have to be a group fitness instructor. I mean, at all. I mean, it's not like all of my challengers are coming from the Y. That's not true at all. There's like 25 Beachbody coaches who teach at the Y, it seems like, you know. So it's just, for me, it's a great way for me to just be a little bit more credible, but also keep pushing myself to be better. You know, it's a good thing for me to push myself in this area, because every time I teach a class, I get butterflies, you know. And so it's kind of one of those ways for me just to be constantly working on myself, constantly keeping myself accountable for my fitness, you know, constantly be inspiring other people in person. It's really, I mean, it just feels good to teach group fitness for me. I think teaching group fitness is more for me than it is for my business, to be honest. Good things come from it, but that's not the reason I teach group fitness. Yeah.
Awesome. 2 more questions. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just go ahead and give you both of them and then you can do whatever you want with them. One is, how do you inspire your coaches to also dream big and go after their dreams? So to work the business. And then the second one is, what is your current maybe limiting belief and how are you overcoming it?
That's a scary question, the last one. Okay. Well, my coaches, I think that the first thing that you have to do to inspire your coaches to work the business is to help them see their potential. And they see their potential by being on their own journey first. That's what's worked for me. Because my team is small if you compare my team to other teams. But what's different is that we have really strong relationships. And so I really do think that my coaches feel like they're on the journey with me. And I really do think that my coaches, and I hope that they know that I believe in them. I always say that I believe in you no matter what. Like, that's kind of like my thing. It's like the things I say over and over. I believe in you no matter what. And you are worth this. You are so worth this. I believe in you. And so I think that when I see a coach who is rocking their journey, that's a phone call that I'm going to have. And I'm going to talk to them on the phone. And I'm going to ask them, what are people saying to you? Because people are going to be saying something to them, as in like complimenting them and asking them what they're doing. And then they're probably someone that's been drinking Shakeology for at least a month or 2. And then I'm going to ask them, did you know that you can get the cost of your Shakeology covered? And you can actually pay this forward to inspire other people, because people are asking you what you're doing. Just had this conversation with Cindy yesterday, and she reached out on social media. This woman's lost 40 pounds, and she had one of those golden posts that was like, this is my journey. And it was like, comment, and she was blown away. Nice. She had no idea that she could inspire someone else.
Yeah.
She never had before, until I said, what are people saying at work, Cindy? Because you've been doing this a while, and she got under the 200 mark, and she was very introverted and
sorry, hold on. Okay. No. Okay, the dog's tail almost got pulled off. Okay, we're okay. Sorry about that.
But a lot of our challengers are our coaches, challengers both. They are very uncomfortable when people approach them about their weight loss and their journey, and they kind of shrink away from it. They don't like that attention. They love the safety of our challenge groups. And so when you coach them through how to respond to people confidently, cool things happen. And so, because most of my coaches and challengers, when people compliment them, they're like, I don't know what to say. No, I say, hold your head up and say, thank you. I've been working really hard. Do you want to hear more about it? And just helping put words in their mouths. I know that sounds badly, but they don't know what to say. It's like people don't know what to say when they invite, and they just don't know what to say when people ask them. So I inspire my coaches to work the business by just helping them see that they can be inspirational. But also I invite them to co-lead with me. I think that's just the biggest thing, is that I say, I'm leading a free group. Do you want to lead and with me? And just invite some of your friends. And like, yeah, I'd love to, or no, I don't want to, but most of the time, this is a soapbox. I don't know if you want me to go there, but I have so many of my coaches that say, and these are my future diamond coaches, right? I just have discount coaches. Oh my goodness gracious. No one's a discount coach. Like, seriously, you guys, my team, if I look at all, I'm like looking at my whiteboard. If I look at all their names, they were all discount coaches. Like, you were a discount coach. Everybody was a discount coach. Let's just get past that point.
Right.
If we label someone as just a discount coach, we're taking the opportunity away from them. If we don't invite them to our team page, if we don't invite them to co-lead with us, if we don't ask them if they want the cost of their Shakeology covered, we've made a decision for them. And that's what I'm not doing. And I think that's what you don't do, to move your business forward and to find your working coaches.
Right.
You just don't label anyone. You don't prejudge. It's like if you've ever run in a mini marathon before, because I've run one and I only run if people are chasing me now. But if you're running in like a race or you're doing some kind of triathlon or whatever, and you look around and you're like, they don't even look fit. What are they doing? And then they pass you. That's prejudging someone, right? Because it doesn't matter what we look like or whatever, or if we just want the discount, we can't prejudge. And so you just have to put it out there for everybody. Mm-hmm. So that was question 1. Question 2, I don't remember what it was. It was some scary question about a blocker.
What is the current limiting belief you have, and then what are you doing to overcome it?
Okay, well, I have a really bad self-esteem. I second guess myself all the time. I judge myself all the time, and I don't give myself credit for any success. Like I seriously, like I look in the mirror and I'm like, this is what am I doing? I mean, there are days when I'm like, seriously, like no way, and so I honestly do not give myself credit for anything. I know I'm a leader, but I don't see myself as a leader. Okay. I know that I inspire people, but I lack to be inspired a lot of days in my own life. And so I am changing that by PD, and also surrounding myself with other great leaders. And it is truly, it's a problem, more of a problem for me, because I've been told by other people that maybe my goals are a little too hefty, by other leaders out here, not Traci, obviously. Traci, I think like the second week I worked the business, she's like, you're going to be a 15-star diamond coach. So, I mean, she's definitely not someone to limit anyone's beliefs. But, so there are people that try to, it's easy to listen to negative and not to positive things. And so I need a lot of positive reinforcement. And so I have to tell people that I work with, like my success partners and my mentors, and I just say, this is what I need. Like, I need you to tell me things are going well, because sometimes I'll get off a call with my mentor and Arnaud from corporate, and I'm like, I think I suck, and I'm like, wait, Arnaud, please tell me what I'm doing well, because I need to hear it, because I second guess myself all the time. So, honestly, Jen Sincero's book, What Is It, the Badass book, like that one has changed me too. Like that and Miracle Morning, and just reading books about leadership, because it just confirms that I am doing things correctly, and it helps me understand what I need to do better. So
good stuff. Mm-hmm. I wonder if you might be able to say to yourself, thank you, I've been working really hard.
No, seriously.
Just the thought.
Thank you. I've been working really hard. I know. Well, and last night when Arnaud asked me to speak at leadership, he did it in front of the whole team. And it was, I started crying, and so did he. And it was like, somebody believes in me, and it was kind of that revelation there. And I had coaches on my team crying for me because they're so proud of me. And I'm like, why are they crying? And I struggle with accepting some of that sometimes. So yeah, we're all real. We're all real people.
It's good to be humble, obviously. So
I guess
you got it covered. That's awesome. All right. Well, any last little bits of whatever?
Yeah. Well, I guess a call to action would be, what do you want, and how badly do you want it? Is to answer that question. And is it worth fighting for? Because putting Tyler on the bus was worth fighting for, and if you truly want this to happen, if you go to any Beachbody Live event, we're all the same people, we're all just normal people with stories and baggage and whatever. But if you want it, you can make it happen. It's not a saturated market. It's not blah, blah. Don't even tell me about that kind of stuff. Like Traci and I graduated from the same high school, 132 kids or something like that. Don't tell me you don't know anyone or whatever. Like that doesn't matter. Jamie Thompson's from Lagodi. She knows everyone in her town. She's a 12-star qualifying coach. Like, don't even say it. If you want it badly enough, and if it's worth fighting for, then you'll find a way to make it happen, and you just have to make it happen.
Awesome. Well,
Mm-hmm.
thank you again. Thank you so very much. I know everybody will really benefit from the call. So.
Oh, good. Well, thank you for having me.